We are, as we would suggest, go-to-market engineers. And when we're go-to-market engineers, this means that we engineer along, as was suggested, the full funnel, that we engineer along marketing as it feeds into sales, as it feeds into the service and ops. And then we are a huge fan of winning by design, and they have a model where they say that your revenue cycle or your go-to-market strategy manifests as a bow tie. And we're all familiar with that giant funnel, and we know you got your top of funnel feeds in the middle and it narrows down. Well, they would suggest that it re-expands once you have the commit. That in our service and our ops, we can take these people from being just customers to zealots and evangelists for us. And so we focus very heavily on engineering along each of these stations. And so it's that from marketing, there's tons of cool AI stuff that's going on in that world. And what I will say is marketing, we're getting better at right now. And I can tell you a lot of stuff we're doing there, but I'll share, I think the real sauce that we're doing happens in a lot of the sales and the service stuff. And for outbound, there are 1.5 million things that we're doing. To frame it at a level, and we can choose how deep we go in, but to kind of frame it at a high level, a lot of the focus right now is around signals. And there's a conversation, I'm sure you probably harp on your team, as I do my team, where it's speed to lead. Speed to lead is such an important thing. We need to get to the individual once they've explicitly stated they have a pain. But there's a conversation that's emerging with these AI tools, and it's speed to signal is actually more important than speed to lead. And it's that we do this parallel, or rather this thought experiment with our clients, that pain doesn't exist as a 1 or a 0. And previously, unfortunately, our prospects almost needed to state explicitly that they had a pain. They would come to our website and fill out our form. Maybe they'll call in and say, hey, I want to find out about your service. But we know there's certain behaviors that happen that imply they might have the pain that we solve. And kind of the thought experiment that we do is we ask, hey, imagine, or do you have a child? Have you ever, been around little kids? And imagine business was like your kid hurts their arm and they run up to you and go, hey, I have a pain. I need you to help me. Take me to the hospital. But in some cases, your kid might just hold his arm. And you go, hey, what's going on over there, bud? Are you okay? And we're investigating the signal that our youngin is sending to us before they've explicitly stated they have a pain. And so in sales, there's a lot of really cool tools right now that enable speed to signal. They help us find the prospects when they're holding their arm. Maybe they didn't come to our website and say, hey, I have a pain, help me. But maybe there was a news article that was posted about their company, and it says Chick-fil-A is expanding 40 stores out into Atlanta. And well, we can set up AI that looks for the second that article gets posted, and it goes and finds everyone associated with the article, and it goes, hey, Jim, the CTO of Chick-fil-A, it goes and it finds his phone number, it goes and it finds all of his emails, all of these things. It can reach out to him and say, hey, I saw that you had this article posted about you. And usually when someone's expanding with 40 stores, it means that they have this pain. And he hasn't come to our website and let us know, but we can assume. And so it's this speed to signal thing is really kick-ass. And I'll pause there.
Because here's the thing, if they just fill out the form, they are free right now. They're distracted on their phone. Nobody is gonna be looking at an ad when they're busy. So if you're free right now, you at least have a couple of minutes to speak with me, to either talk with me right now, and then I'll try to get that book time as my demo. Because if you booked a call with me for like 15, 30 minutes, that means at that time you can be maybe in front of your computer. So what we try to do is, let's have the call right now, because you just opted in, you're free, and let's grab that time as our demo call to show you the entire audit and the system for you. So that will be the first thing that we do. And then if they don't pick up, we usually have maybe about a 5 to 6 text message sequence that we send and email. We also iMessage people if they don't reply. So if it doesn't work through text, we go through iMessage. And we make sure that we have a lot of people give up on their leads too quickly. I want to make sure that in about 5 business days, we hit at least 12 touch points or 12 calls and 6 to 7 text messages. If at that point nobody replies, we just move them to a column that we call no answer. and then we follow up after that once a month.
Wow. And then
Try to
how's
not
the
give up
follow up?
on any-
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, we just try to not give up on any lead at all. So I'm gonna follow up with you until you hang up and tell me never to contact you again, or you jump on a call with me.
So we built something called an ROI sheet, which is all the way from the cost of the ads. We include our fees in the ROI sheet because ROI is truly return on investment, and what you invest is ad spend and the fees of the agency, right? So it goes all the way from that to the cost per lead to the amount of contacts that they had that actually connected over the phone, the amount of appointments booked, the amount of appointments showed, the amount of pitches sent, and then the amount of deals closed, and then the amount of people that have come back and bought again later in the future. So we show them that entire timeline, and I'll give you like a real life example. We had one of our pods was having difficulty with a client about a month ago, and they were like, "Hey Christian, do you mind like jumping in, seeing if you can talk to this guy? Like every time we jump on a meeting, he's like very negative, right? He's like always like trying to blame us for this work." And even though they had the ROI sheet and everything, some people, you need to come from a different angle in order to show them your perspective, right? Because that's the thing, is at the end of the day is everything is a debate, right? Like even when you're like, let's say with your wife and you're like, I want to eat at this place, and she's like, no, I want to eat at this place. Is it worth the battle? Like, is eating at the place you want to eat that important to you, or is it important to keep your wife happy and like, let's go to the place you want to go? Same thing happens with the clients. But a lot of times people think that just like the client's always right, like whatever they want, like give them. A lot of times it's important to actually call them out and actually run the actual operation your way, because that's the way that's actually going to help them, right? If the client is the one that's jeopardizing the actual partnership, it's important to say that to them in a way that makes sense to them.
You know, how are you always staying ahead in this niche that is so competitive?
I think that the main thing has to do with offers. See what's in the market, what is nobody launching right now, and then I think it comes down a lot with the sales team that you have and being extremely efficient with your follow-up and closing. Because all of these dentists are going to, whatever you put out there, they're going to be contacting 4, 5, 6 different agencies. You just gotta make sure that when they fill out the form, like I know that a lot of people say like contact them in 5 minutes or less. Our goal is to contact them in 60 seconds or less. As long as it's within working hours. Like I'm not gonna call someone at 10 p.m. And then I've also managed my team so they work in different hours. So we hit at least on Eastern, because we work on Eastern time, and we want to hit from 8 a.m. till about 7, 8 p.m. Eastern time.
And I would encourage you, literally man to man, man to woman, just heart to heart here, that it is so deeply important for you. If you want to stay competitive, you enjoy running a business, this is something you see yourself doing in the long term, you need to get in bed immediately with automation. It is non-negotiable, literally non-negotiable. And I'll make you the appeal on a human level, not even a business owner. I worry about you, the person listening in your community, and I think it is very important. If you're listening to this, you're probably a leader of some kind. And these are the tools that are going to enable you to lead and provide for your people better. I believe this truly in the deepest part of my heart, that these tools allow us to play with two really parent variables here. How much of the thing can we do, the volume, and how fast can we do it, the velocity. And so I would encourage, if you're listening to this and you're not already familiar with a tool, and I would say start out with something like potentially Make or Zapier. But if you're already maybe, into that and that's play stuff for you, I would say really the spot that you should be at right now and you should be spending a good amount of time learning is with N8N. So N8N.io is a phenomenal tool. It is so darn excellent that there's jokes right now in all of the VC world and all of the investment world that all of the SaaS tools coming out are just N8N flows with a lovable or a bolt front end put onto them. And the joke is, or rather the reality is that people that don't have super technical backgrounds can use these automation tools, use these, these platforms to build out automations, to build out things that are going to enable you to do more of what you're doing and to do it faster. It's going to allow you to iterate on your on your offering quicker than ever, on what you're doing. And, there's a term I brought up earlier, iteration tempo. This is a very freaking important thing. You need to be iterating. We all know this, but how fast are you iterating? And these tools like N8N are going to help you iterate quick. They're going to help you drill down, as we agreed on, the ICP. It's super important to know. We have to iterate quickly to figure that out, or we have to iterate rather, but let's do it quickly. Your main differentiator, your competitive differentiator, is going to be your creativity. That what can you think of? Because anything you can think of, you're going to be able to do instantly.
And something interesting that you mentioned is that you have specific people inside of your company that is in charge of looking at new AI stuff. How does that work?
I mean, it's very simple. I have just one VA in the company, and just have her look at YouTube videos, look at newsletters, look what's out there, what's new, figure out, and if you see something that you find interesting, just bring it up to me, and I can kind of guide you if we feel that this could be a good fit for the company.
Nice. But do you have a specific KPI set with them?
No, for now it's not a KPI. I think that there's a lot of noise out there, and I don't think there's a need for set a KPI of we need to onboard at least one new system a month. It's more like, look what's out there, and if you feel that it can solve at least one of the issues that we have, then bring it onto the team so we can test it.
This guy was actually invested in it working because I was young. I was like 20 years old. He wanted me to succeed, whatever it may be. I think there was a lot of things that I couldn't control that factored in that I closed this individual. Like, for example, he's Arabic, I'm Arabic. I don't know if that was part of his decision-making factor. Maybe he looked at me as I was young and he wanted to support or help out. Like, I don't know what caused him to want to work with me, but I know one thing for a fact. I worked with this guy for 3 months, and I actually grew his business significantly. But I never told him that, and he ended up canceling and hiring his cousin. Okay? So that was the first lesson I learned in the marketing space is if you don't tell them, they don't know. And I started to live by a lot of the quotes and a lot of the things that I do. Like, every time we lose a client right now, I don't care if literally the client sold their business and it was an amazing reason for why they left. We sit down and we're like, how could we have benefited more from this partnership? What can we learn? How can we have it be a better experience for our clients?
I'll share that I made a mistake. And this is where I'm speaking to other folks. Oh, yep, absolutely. And we have to be honest with others. Look yourself in the mirror, and you gotta have that talk with yourself. And what I did incorrectly was this group came in through a referral, and I ran a very loose sales process, and I didn't ask all of the questions that I would have normally asked. And I'll tell you, in sales, and some folks know, when you're killing it, you're the golden child. They love you. And the calls go from, let's take a look at our metrics, to, oh my gosh, this is so amazing. What are we going to do next? And it's hilarious. I'm sure agency owners, y'all can corroborate this in your own ways. And so, I get into one of these calls. Our first week we come back, I think 20 positive responses on this. And I'm like, yeah, I'm feeling pretty good. We're on track for 80 for the month. I think this is good. And I ask the question that I should have asked in the sales process. What's your average contract value? How much is each of these positive responses worth to you? I didn't ask that damn question. And they go, Chris, every single one of these is $2.5 million. And I went, son of a freaking gun. Are you kidding me? And so we look at the pipeline and I go, in 1 week, 20 times 2.5. Oh my God, we made you 50 mil in our first week.
So there's a lot of value for agency owners when it comes to that. Also, sub-niching and going a little bit outside of the box, right? Like you're focusing on one country for a different language. So there's a lot of value that people can get from that point and think how that could apply for their niches and where they're at. But, in terms of what applies to agency owners and what they can take away from this podcast, what's one advice that you have for agency owners that are starting out?
Spend all your profits on ads at the beginning. That's what's going to scale you faster. Call your leads right away and don't give up until they either tell you to F off or buy from you.